Y'all, I'm trying to figure out what is going on right down the street, down in Potomac. I mean, literally, right down a stone's throw down the street in Potomac because the streets is heating up and Chris Bassett is going off and he is letting us know that he is not having it. Before we get into that, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell button, join the texting community 202-918-3386. And I will send you a message every time a new video drops here or on my personal channel. Now, with that out of the way, let's take it on back. Let's take it back. Let's take it back, baby. And we're going to take it back to this tweet right here. Now, this was retweeted by RHOM, but it was a tweet from Reality TV Digest replying to Real House Vibes when asked about what the drama was that was going on with Candiace Dillard Bassett and with Giselle Bryant, allegedly feuding because we know that Candiace had unfollowed Giselle. So what we got in response, and we'll put the alleged badge up here because, again, as is acknowledged in the tweet, we won't know until it actually airs. But the tweet says she allegedly told C, I'm assuming that's Candiace, that Chris was coming on to her. This is all alleged, though. We won't know if that happened until it airs. The other side of that rumor or allegation was that he said or did something inappropriate. So I'm not necessarily sure. You know, it's likely somewhere in the middle of one of these two things, right? So Chris Bassett has commented kind of cryptically before about it, but he is really going off. I guess was really going off about it last night. I'm assuming something else may have happened that caused his latest rant on the Twitter. So let's take it over to Twitter to find out exactly what was said, okay? So the latest tweet that came out was about 55 p.m. last night. And it says, broke, live off my mother-in-law, no job, or whatever. Those are lies for a TV show. This is my character you are trying to attack, and I will not sit down and say nothing. So let's just first analyze that. You know, the ladies on the show have somewhat perpetuated the notion that Chris is, broke, living off of his mother-in-law, and that he has no job. Some of these things were sort of perpetuated also by things that, unfortunately, I love her to death, but Mama Dorothy she didn't help matters that much with their sort of time on the show with her. And so a lot of people were left to assume that these are things that are true about him. And I think that he explained during one of the reunions, the situation with living in Candiace's mom's house because he already had a home and there was no sense in paying for, and he was having to pay for both homes. I believe that's what he said. So I get it. And everybody that comes on these shows is not necessarily going to be a millionaire. And I'm not saying that he's not. I'm just saying that I believe the man works. I don't know exactly what he does, but I believe he works. And I believe that he loves his wife. So when I see these types of rumors, especially being allegedly perpetuated by Giselle, it kind of just, you kind of have to throw a side eye to it because pretty much every season, there's some rumor that she is unleashing about someone else's husband. And to be quite honest with you, this storyline here lacks the element of surprise for me because by process of elimination, we had to figure that Chris was going to be next in line to receive the Giselle treatment. And It's happened to Monique, as I stated before. It's happened to Wendy. It's happened to Karen and Ray. The only people that were really spared by Giselle were Robin and Juan. But, at that point in time, earlier in the years, it was Ashley who was, doing the kind of jabs at, Robin and their finances and that sort of thing. So husbands have always on this show seemed to be the topic of conversation. But let's also take a look at one of the other things that Chris had to say when with regards to what's going on here. He says, y'all really not ready for what's about to go down. Call me what you want, but a liar I am not. And if that's the path you choose, I promise you will be sorry. So he is letting the people know that whoever out there is calling him a liar, and I'm I mean, we could probably take a couple of guesses as to who that might be. Um, he's letting them know that you will be sorry. So, man, it's a tough situation, really, because a lot of people will say, well, the men shouldn't get involved in women's business. But what should the man do when they are the person who is being called into question? Now, I will tell you that the way that Eddie Acefo handled things last season was literally top notch in my book. I mean, the man just simply, he kind of really let his wife do the reading, and he kind of just sat back, chill, and just let the things play out. But I do also understand that there comes a moment when you're like, no, like, I'm not going to sit back and take this. So I want to pull up some other tweets from the night and this is from HW Historian. I was about to say housewife, but it's HW Historian on Instagram. I believe HW Historian also has a YouTube page, so definitely go follow, give them a like and a shout out. And so someone actually tweeted and said, stay out of women's business. And he says, this is my business. And what you're not going to do is lie on me. Okay. Um, Another person, I don't know what he was replying to when he said, and you would be wrong. Another person said, nobody believes her. Don't feed into it and risk putting your foot in your mouth because she will run with it. Let your wife get her together like she do the rest of them girls. I will say that I agree with this tweet right here because I kind of feel like Candiace is quite able to, as she likes to say, orate pretty well in terms of reading and gathering the girls. It'll be interesting to see what she does with Giselle because, again, I've always held the belief that it was really Giselle who was at the center of the beef between Candiace and Monique. I believe that, Candiace, you know, ultimately should have been on guard for something like this, and hopefully she has been. But someone else says, let me go ahead and bookmark this tweet, and Chris Bassett responded, you know what it is. And then someone says, your wife going to get in another fight. And Chris says, listen, you little piece of ish, keep running your mouth, and I promise you won't want this smoke either. He tells another person, F you. And then he also says, maybe they should keep my name out their mouths and I wouldn't have ish to say. So clearly somebody is doing some talking about him and it's rubbing him the wrong way. Okay. And he is venting on Twitter. Now, I will say this, and I'm going to let it go. I always believe that, first of all, I like Chris Bassett. I think he loves his wife. I think he stands by her, whether she's right or wrong, which ultimately you have to do, at least in the face of the public. Now, you can reprimand them behind the scenes, but, hold them down in public, right? But I think I don't even mind him tweeting, hey, stop, don't be lying on me. But I will say, Chris, going back and forth at it with people who are fans of the show, the community of fans of the show, who will obviously have things to say and comment. I think you should probably just ignore them, because ultimately, I can tell you personally, anytime I've ever clapped back at somebody, which is very rare, I actually feel bad about it later, because I'm like, you know what? Everybody has a right to vent. Um, Even though sometimes you feel like these people, like, they take it too far when they be saying crazy stuff. I think at the end of the day, as the celebrity, I think it's really up to you to just sort of have to rise above it, because the last thing that you want to do is be the celebrity who is going back and forth with fans of the show who could be fans of yours, and just they don't realize it, if that makes any sense. You know what I'm saying? Um that's just my feeling on it. Like, you don't want to be that person, because it just does not pay off in the end for you. Okay. So I would just say manage that a little bit better. You can definitely still give us some tea and some snippets, and now I'm with you on that. Now, give us the content, but I would say leave it at that, and leave people wondering, without kind of going back and forth with people, because ultimately it's not going to work in your favor. It never does. In any celebrity's favor, it does not work. Um, and so I would just say move on from it, because people are always going to have something to say. You don't have to be what is the term? You don't have to show up to every argument that you are invited to. And I'm going to leave you guys with that. We will catch you guys in the next video.